Now, the national broadcaster is out of control, politically partisan. There's no breaking news in that. It's ideologically obsessed, intellectually narrow and incurious. And it just doesn't give a stuff, frankly. It knows the left of politics will always look after it. You know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And the right of politics doesn't seem to have the guts to take it on. Still, the ABC does like to try and do some good work every now and then to sort of help the community. And the latest effort is a special focus on the topic of anxiety, something it's calling the Anxiety Project.
Well, most of us know what anxiety feels like, but there's something about modern life that means more of us are saying it's a problem. Maybe it's the demands of our fast-paced lives, the role of social media, the fact we're talking more openly about mental health, or perhaps it's the shadow that COVID has cast over our lives.
I wonder why people might be feeling a little more anxious these days. I mean, maybe they watch the ABC.
How is it that a slightly warmer atmosphere can create weather that swings from one extreme to the next? From lazy jet streams to baking soils. In this report, we explain the mechanisms behind some of the most catastrophic events of the decade.
In the days after the fires, Malakuta would become the scene of the biggest ever domestic sea evacuation in Australia's history. It did raise questions about the capability of the Army, Navy and Air Force in responding to climate-related risks and ever-worsening climate-related natural disasters.
Oh, ever-worsening, and we can't cope. Yes, the constantly extreme and alarmist editorialising on the ABC about climate change. I'm sorry, actually, the climate crisis, they call it, don't they? Or do they call it a climate emergency now? Anyway, the constant catastrophising about climate change and impending doom, that just might make some people a little anxious. And then there's the pandemic. The ABC's been all over that too, haven't they?
So the predictions at the moment, if this hockey stick doesn't change that much, is that we'll be out of ICU beds in New South Wales. Victoria will be behind that by April 10th. And in that case, ICU physicians will be faced with some very difficult decisions.
Yeah, grim, extreme, frightening predictions, so many of them from Norman Swan and others, and so many wildly, wildly wrong. So much hysteria and fear-mongering on the ABC that turned out to be way over the top. Still, if you only watched the ABC, you'd hardly be aware. You'd still be pretty anxious, I reckon. Even on global politics, the ABC has been putting the frighteners on us. I mean, in their efforts to undermine Donald Trump, they produced Cold War levels of paranoia and intrigue.
The Kremlin's puppet master now has America dancing to his discordant tune. He couldn't have planned it better.
Wow. All wrong, of course, all a kooky conspiracy theory cooked up by the Democrats and others. But then if you watched only the ABC, you wouldn't know that, would you? They haven't corrected that. They haven't apologised for their story of the century. If you watch the ABC alone, you probably think Vladimir Putin runs US politics. No wonder you might be feeling anxious. Talk about an anxiety project. The ABC is a publicly funded anxiety project.